First, let's stay with gotcha politics from Mr. Santorum. Our distinguished panel, Kevin Madden. He's a former 2008 Romney campaign senior advisor, and he's helping the campaign this year. Matt Lewis of the Daily Caller. Robert Costra is still with us. Kevin, let me go to you. You heard the Santorum clip. What's your reaction to that?
Well, look, I obviously disagree with Senator Santorum. I think this is part of the scrutiny that he's going to endure now as we continue to look at the contest starting to crystallize between him and Governor Romney. The comments and the criticism that's been lobbed at Senator Santorum has been one of that when we're looking at a party right now that doesn't like a lot of spending out of Washington, Senator Santorum has a long record of being an elected official in Washington who put earmarks in lots of spending bills and lots of appropriations bills. So that's something that doesn't square right now with what a lot of Republicans want to see from a potential nominee. So Senator Santorum is saying that these are attacks. But this is a substantive issue, and these are facts. This is his record. He has to defend them in this primary.
All right, Matt Lewis, is it a substantive issue, or as Santorum is suggesting, Governor Romney's team is really just bringing down the big hammer? There are some people, distinguished leaders and conservatives in the Republican Party, who say this is just helping Obama and it's not clarifying the issues. What's your take?
I think I'm going to have to Kevin on this. I mean, look, Mitt Romney is incredibly negative, and he really doesn't have a proactive message. Having said that, Rick Santorum was a big government Republican during the Bush era, and I think it's fair to point that out and let the voters decide.
Bob Costra, do you agree? Where do you come out?
I just got off the phone with Mike Biondo, Santorum's campaign manager, and he says he's fine going negative against Romney. They're punching up. They're scrambling to catch up in this race, and they think when Mitt Romney goes negative against them, it helps them in the polls. It endears them to conservatives who are a little skeptical of Romney. So Santorum finds himself in a great position, going to CPAC tomorrow, addressing conservatives, rallying the base, and he's going to wag his finger at Romney and say he's just not the true conservative. I may not have the organization, may not have the money, but I'm the conservative for you.
All right, let me raise a separate issue here. There's a very huge Politico.com story today in which a number of senators are critical of Mitt Romney, including Senator Jim DeMint and Senator Ron Johnson. But most in particular, veteran Arizona Senator Jon Kyl had sharp words for Governor Romney. Now, here's what he said. Romney's support for indexing the minimum wage to inflation is something that, quote, every conservative knows is a bad idea. And Kyl goes on to say, quote, conservatives wonder whether he, Romney, has the instincts to usually take the conservative position on issues. You don't just want a transactional president. You want one with a very fixed view of what's right or wrong. And he concludes, I think conservatives need to be persuaded that Mitt has a pretty firm fix on where the conservative lodestar is. Kevin Madden, is Mitt conscious of this? Will he speak about the conservative lodestar to CPAC? These are not unfair concepts raised by Jon Kyl.
No, they're not. Look, and that's really important feedback. And from a campaign perspective, you always want to hear that type of feedback, particularly from a conservative perspective as Senator Kyl. Look, I think CPAC is an incredible opportunity for Governor Romney to speak directly to conservatives about the issues that they care about. They care about the economy. They're very unhappy with the way Washington has dealt with issues like spending and deficits. And they're very animated about the way that the Obama administration has grown the size of government. So I think Governor Romney has this opportunity tomorrow to talk about how he wants to freeze spending, what he would do to rein in a lot of
freeze, not cut. Freeze, not
I'm sorry, freeze spending to 2008 levels. So that would actually be a cut. And also reining us in many of these regulations that have stifled job creation, have stifled economic growth that the Obama administration has introduced.
Will he
I think
say?
you talk about those issues.
Let me raise, Kevin. I don't mean to interrupt, but time is always short. One specific that Jon Kyl mentioned that troubled many of us, and that is the indexing of the minimum wage, which almost all economists believe would damage employment, particularly the very poor, particularly the African American and other minorities. Why did Governor Romney say that, and will he counter that? Will he say tomorrow that was a mistake? I really am a conservative on these issues.
Well, again, I think this was another one of those issues where we got a lot of important feedback from conservatives across the spectrum forum in the Republican Party. So I think that's something that the campaign will continue to look at. I think Governor Romney's main point, if I remember his comments correctly, was that he was looking to provide some level of certainty for the business sector when it came to the index and minimum wage, and that these spikes up and down and these conversations up and down were very much driven by politics. But again, that's going to be something that working with leaders up on Capitol Hill, working with other conservatives is going to be really important.
Let me make a quick point, though. First of all, there shouldn't be an unemployment rate because there shouldn't be a minimum wage rate at all because that raises unemployment. That's conservative free market economics. But look, the fact that Mitt Romney has to sort of go to conservatives and get their value back, I think is indicative of the problem.
Not really.
This should be
Mitt Romney
his gut
is strategic.
instinct.
Look at the politics here. There's a political strategy Romney's doing. He's going to CPAC tomorrow to appeal to conservatives, remind conservatives that he's one of them. But on February 24th, he's going to Michigan, giving a big economic speech at Ford Field. You got to respect Romney's strategy, trying to plot out a path. He's not going to say everything tomorrow, at least when I talk to other advisors besides Kevin, but he's going to look to really make different cases to conservatives, economic conservatives, military conservatives at different junctures. So watch the politics of it all. It's not just all at one moment, one big fight.
But my point is, he keeps going to them for feedback. They should be on the inside of the room helping. They should be helping craft the policy. They should be helping. Feedback. Are you going to let me talk? They should be helping craft the policy first, not retroactively pointing out the flaws with it.
But this is a campaign. There's always back and forth. It's good if Romney listens.
Well, okay, but look,
I hope he does.
Kevin Madden, I have no doubt that Governor Romney is listening. But don't you believe that his speech tomorrow at CPAC is going to be, in some sense, the most important speech of the campaign so far because of some of the criticisms or backtalk that you're hearing from these senators like John Kyle and Ron Johnson and Jim DeMint. Jim DeMint was a Romney man in 2008. In fact, I think John Kyle might have been a Romney man. But in any event, what I'm saying is, isn't the speech tomorrow before CPAC, which is the conservative grassroots, and which will be broadcast afterwards or during everywhere, the most important speech so far?
I think it's going to be a very important speech. I don't want to raise the stakes too high on being the most important, but there's no doubt that the campaign and the governor see this as an extraordinary opportunity to persuade many conservatives that on the big issues that we care about, namely the economy and all the other issues related to that economy, whether it's spending, whether it's health care, energy, deficits, all of those particular issues, that he has the right plan, the pro-growth, the bold plans that are going to help unite the party behind him as a nominee.
How about a bold pro-growth tax reform plan? You know I'm going on that. How about
You're also going to hear a lot about bio tomorrow.
I mean, look, Marco Rubio, Senator Rubio gave a speech. He mentioned bold pro-growth tax reform. That's becoming a conservative litmus test. Will we hear it tomorrow from Mr. Romney?
I think we'll hear principles that are espoused by Governor Romney.
You're also going to hear a lot of bio. You're going to hear a lot of bio. Remember, in Tuesday night's speech, he talked about his father, George Romney, who ran American Motors. Romney feels like he has a narrative problem as well, not just details on his economic plan. You're going to hear family stories, stuff about his Mormon faith, about being a family man. Expect some bio tomorrow. He needs to convince conservatives not only that he's one of them, but that he has a heart.
All right. I think, look, I think the bio thing's terrific. I'm not here to judge. I'm not in that game. I just think people want to know why Mr. Romney is the man, specifically and prescriptively, why he's the man to make the economy better, to make the budget bankruptcy go away, and to solve the entitlement problems for a balanced budget. I think he's got to be prescriptive on that. I'm sure he's listening, Kevin.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think bio is about me, but I think he's going to talk more about conservatives and what they care about and why that's important.
I sincerely hope he clears up this minimum wage thing, too. Anyway, thank you, gentlemen. Kevin Madden, Matt Lewis, Robert Costra. We appreciate all the inputs. Next up on Kudlow, speaking of the conservatives.